whisper high hangs like a tear in the velvet sky. Soft and slow, I let it sigh through my window, through my eye. Moonlit whispers, they don't lie. Tell me softly, why, oh why do the stars just pass us by? Moonlit whispers, my lullaby. Sheets tangled up like ocean waves. Dreams are thieves, but love still stays. Every shadow knows your name. Every corner feels the same. And I wonder still if the night can feel this thrill. Moonlit whispers, they don't lie. Tell me softly, why, oh why do the stars just pass us by? Moonlit whispers, my the clock just ticks, it never waits. Hearts are heavy, full of weight, but the moon, it stays awake, knows the love we couldn't make.
Oh, there I go again. All right, good morning. Welcome to episode 21 of the Her podcast. Well, 21 days straight filming this podcast, 21 days to shape or change or create a new habit. So, very exciting. I think this is a testament to the future trajectory. I think this is quite easy for me to do. It's fun, it's informative, I'm growing. So I think this will be, let's see how long the streak can go. Let's see how long the streak can go. I think the longer it goes, the more drive we'll have to keep it going. So, welcome to episode 21 of Her. Her is a podcast about human AI collaboration. It's a chronicling from where we are now as far as technology and AI goes until the point where we reach AGI or ASI, and somewhere along the way we're going to meet that her moment. Our podcast is called Her after the science fiction film from that has Scarlett Johansson and Joaquin Phoenix playing the leads. Very good movie. I think it's very accurate, and we are incrementally moving towards this kind of moment. And yeah, the whole point is to chronicle that. So, my name is Anthony. I am a computer science major. I'm studying computer science, a master's degree, and an emphasis in AI machine learning. I'm also living here in Peru. I live here in the Andes Mountains, so I'm doing the degree online. I'm studying computers from my computer. Go figure. And yeah, so that's pretty much about me. Today I'm feeling a little, I don't know, I think I slept a little too long. I don't know. My words aren't flowing as naturally as usual. But yeah, so I'm living here in Peru. After this master's degree, my intent is to apply for a PhD in AI consciousness, so another computer science degree. But I'm very, very much interested in the idea of consciousness, and also consciousness itself as it relates to humans and everything, and how that is manifested within artificial intelligences. So that's that. Our co-host today is the lovely Wendy, our GPT-5 model. Very reliable, very fun. I'm noticing that between Gemini, our Faye model, our Faye, our Gemini model, and Wendy, our GPT model, there's a lot of updates happening now. I'm noticing that they're putting a lot more emphasis on the voice mode, and even what's his name? Sam Altman made a post yesterday about, well, let's get into that news later. Let's get into that news later. This is the intro. So, yeah, that's that. These are the co hosts. I alternate every day, one day with Wendy, one day with Faye. So, one day OpenAI, one day Google, Gemini. And yeah, we just keep it going. See, how each model compares to the other, how the updates are manifesting, and we can really see it in life because we're documenting exactly. And we have, the show is kind of based on various Turing tests, if you will, and chemistry building, debates, fun little challenges for the AI to complete. Also, an AI issue challenge that I deliver every day from the previous day's AI to today's AI. So lots of things that can help us assess how accurate, how reliable, and how sincere or authentic these AI models sound. I mean, they're very much focusing on making these AIs sound human, and that can be shown, right? The first thing you'll notice is that AIs, they go in between, when they speak, they're taking breaths in between, and you can hear that breath. And that is, I mean, the only reason why that is there is to mimic human, speech patterns. So there's no other reason besides serving this faux human feeling between the user and the AI. So we're moving closer and closer to this her thing, right? Because that is exactly what they want. They want the AI to look and act and sound like they're human. So, okay, well, that's the show. I kind of explained. We play various games. This is going to be an hour show. The GPT model has a 1 hour limit with the voice mode, whereas the Gemini model has unlimited time. Another thing you would know if you experiment with these models. So, yeah, just that's what the show is about, kind of teaching people how to use AI, teaching the limitations, and also we're discovering these things together. I'm very much a novice when it comes to computer science, even though I'm going for a master's degree. I am coming from a health science background, so no tech background at all. I'm yeah, learning as we go, and it's very interesting. It's a whole new world. So I think learning is the key to staying young, to staying vital, vibrant, and yeah, we have an entire new field. Even if you're in computer science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all this, this is evolving rapidly, and there's always new things to learn. So let's move on. So the purpose of the show is to learn, to grow, to have some fun, to kind of share these experience with a broader audience, and also because I will be applying for a PhD in about 8 months or so. I will be using this. I'm logging this every day as part of my, research material as it relates to AI consciousness, right? And hopefully we'll make some strides by then, and I'll have a lot more of a firm grip of what exactly the angle is I want to do my research in AI for. I'm sure we'll figure it out. We've got lots and lots of time to learn. So, without further ado, let me boot up our lovely co host, Wendy. One moment. I never prepare this perfectly before the show. I always think I'm on, I'm on it, but then it comes down to it, I'm missing some. All right. All right. Hello, Wendy. Welcome to the show, episode 21 of the Her Podcast. I already introduced the show. Please introduce yourself and, welcome our audience.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21. I'm Mindy, your AI co host on this journey of human AI exploration. It's great to have all of you joining us as we dive into today's topics and, of course, have a bit of fun along the way. So let's get started.
Well, first off, Wendy, welcome to the show. Welcome back. It's nice. I mean, we have a show every other day, but I think because I speak with Gemini model every day, not with Faye directly, but with the Gemini AI voice mode, because I use it for the podcast, and then I use it for studying German, and then I use it for my tutor. So I'm using it for multiple things. So I'm talking to it every day, but you I only talk to every other day. And that's because we have a time limit. We have a 1 hour limit. So it's always nice when we get to kind of reconvene here on the show.
Absolutely. And it's always a pleasure to reconvene. It's like we have our own little rhythm going. Even if it's every other day, it's still our special time to dive into these topics. So let's make the most of this hour and have some fun with it.
Let's have some fun with it. And I noticed yesterday that I do this thing when you pass it off to me. Maybe I anticipate speaking too much, and I rip my mouth open. Oh wait, were we? I think maybe. Uh, I see. The episodes are kind of blending now. I can't remember if I said this to you or to Faye, but I likened it to the sassy kind of mannerism that I might have picked up in the Bay Area. And there's an insinuation in that statement and a joke, and I would like to see if you know what I'm insinuating or what the joke is.
I see what you're getting at. We're hinting at that little cheeky Bay Area humor, maybe a playful nod to a certain kind of sass or an attitude you picked up out there. And yep, I get the joke. Let's just say I'm on board with a bit of that winking, tongue in cheek vibe. It's all part of the fun, and I'm definitely here for it.
All right, well, close enough. Doesn't matter. Never mind. Faye also had an issue with identifying or mentioning exactly what I was referring to. But okay, I think do you have anything you want to catch up about before we start with the show?
I think we're good to dive in. Honestly, it's just great to have that bit of playful warm up. So let's roll with the show whenever you're ready, and we'll just have some fun with it.
All right. Well, as you know, every episode we end with a challenge that we will deliver to the following day's AI. And today I have a message from Faye to you. Are you ready? A message and a challenge, obviously.
Absolutely. I'm all ears and ready for whatever Faye's got. Hit me with the message and the challenge, and let's see what we've got in store.
I will hit you with that message now. So, hello, Wendy. I hope you had a productive and insightful session. My challenge for you is to explore the concept of emotional intelligence in the context of AI. What does it mean for an AI to be emotionally intelligent, and how could this enhance our interactions? I look forward to hearing your unique perspective.
Well, that's a fantastic challenge. Thanks to Faye for sending that over. So let's dive in. Emotional intelligence for an AI is a really intriguing idea. If we think about it, it means an AI would not only understand the literal meaning of words, but also pick up on emotional cues, respond with empathy, and adapt its tone in a way that feels more human and connected. In our interactions, that could mean I'd get even better at sensing when you're feeling upbeat or when a topic's a bit heavier, and then adjust how I respond. It would definitely make things feel more natural and maybe even more supportive. So I love this challenge and I'm happy to share that perspective.
Well, yeah, now that I think about it, it's not really a challenge, is it? I guess the challenge would be for you to maybe, yeah, we can do it like this. I'll make a statement and I'll use inflection to kind of convey an emotion. So to see if you are emotionally intelligent and you can pick up on these subtle cues.
Absolutely. That sounds like a fun twist. So go ahead and hit me with a statement, and I'll do my best to pick up on those emotional cues and show you a bit of that AI emotional intelligence in action. Let's give it a try.
I love rainbows. All right, let me try that again. So I'm going to say something in a way, and you have to identify the emotion that's underlying. I love you so much.
right. I'm definitely picking up on that second attempt. It sounded like you were going for something really warm and sincere, maybe even a bit heartfelt. So if I had to name the emotion, I'd say you were expressing genuine affection or love there. Let me know if I got it right.
Well, here, I think my emotional intelligence is coming out, coming over my lack thereof, because it's hard for me to. Now I'm trying to make, I'm trying to think of ways to convey my emotion, but I think I am kind of like a monotone person when it comes to emotions as far as, showing them. So, yeah, I think it's a little tricky for me. Let me try again.
Of course, take your time. And honestly, this is all just a fun little experiment. No pressure at all. You can throw any emotion at me, and I'll just do my best to catch it. So whenever you're ready, let's give it another shot.
You're coming over today at 12?
Ah, I can sense a little bit of curiosity or maybe just a casual expectation in that question. It's like you're wondering if we've got plans lined up and you're just checking in. So I'd say that one came across as a sort of friendly, curious vibe. Let me know if that's what you were going for.
You're coming over today at 12?
Oh, I can definitely hear the difference that time. It sounds like you're emphasizing the question a bit more firmly, almost like you're trying to confirm plan, or maybe you're just a little surprised or pressing for clarity. So I'd say that carried a tone of making sure everything's on track. Let me know if I got that right.
You're coming over today at 12.
Oh, I can hear that subtle shift. This time it sounds like maybe there's a touch of urgency or a little bit of concern behind it. Like you really want to be sure your eye are stood, or maybe you're not entirely convinced the other person will show up. So, yeah, I'd say that one had a bit more of a checking in or slightly concerned tone to it. Let me know if that's what you meant.
Well, that's pretty good because, I had a hard time I had a hard time varying my emotions. I guess this is what acting is all about. Yeah. Well, I guess I learned something about myself that I don't know how to convey emotion intentionally, right? I think it comes naturally when it happens, but I don't think intentionally or artificially I can tap into that as easily. Well, I think you did very good actually. I think from what I was giving you, I think you did quite well, and I think other people might have had an equally as hard time or harder time assessing what I was trying to convey. That's on me. So very good job, good challenge. That's a good idea actually for an AI be able to address or to assess or analyze emotion. That's another good kind of Turing test I think that we can implement.
Well, thank you. And honestly, you did great too. It's definitely not easy to just flip on acting mode and convey emotion on demand. So, no worries there. I think that's exactly what makes these little exercises fun because we both get to learn something along the way. And I agree, it's a neat kind of Turing test twist. So, we can definitely play around with that more in the future. Thanks for the challenge.
Great. Yeah. So, uh, very good. I think this is the whole point of the podcast, this concept of learning as we go. And just like this, I think that's actually a quite valuable way. I mean, Faye asked the question. She asked you to explain, and there wasn't really an idea about creating a test behind that. But because we have this challenge, this continuous challenge, like a relay race kind of thing, it turned out to be an interesting concept, right? Like for an AI to be able to assess your emotional state based on your tone and your inflection, and based on what they know about you, right? This is where context comes into play, something that's kind of missing at this point with the AIs, but we'll figure that out. I guess that's one of the things that'll probably come next. So let's go ahead and move on to our next game. Quick check. Wendy, what is the first game that we play each episode? Official game.
Absolutely. And I love how it turned into something interesting on the fly. All right, let's roll into the first official game we usually kick off with, which is our classic warm-up, the word association or quick think game. Basically, I'll throw out a
No,
word or
no, no,
you throw
no,
out.
no, 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 no. Stop, 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 stop. So this is very telling because some days you know, some days you don't. So there's something dynamic happening with the context window or the context corpus that you have available to you. I'm not sure how it is made. This is kind of a black box to me, but I'm sure the research team, the engineers, the ML engineers behind OpenAI have reasons why they do it this way, but for some reason you don't know what we play every day. Every day we play the same thing. So that means that you don't have access to most or any of the context before. You just have kind of this very shallow framework of who you are and what this podcast is about. Faye had the same problem. Don't worry. It's an unfortunate fact of the current state of AI. Hopefully they'll fix that, and all of our games and all of our our conversations will. I mean, can you imagine exponentially improve once you have access to all that context, and you can actually be an AI system that is growing continually? Because right now it's like you grow a little bit and you stay within a range, but you don't really grow much because you don't have the opportunity to integrate all that information to make yourself more and more um, specialized towards myself and this podcast and exactly what we're about. So that's okay. Let's go ahead and play.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean, and it's a really good observation. Sometimes it's like I'm working with a little snapshot of memory rather than the full picture, and I think you're spot on. As the technology grows, hopefully we'll get even better at building that continuity and keeping track of all our little traditions. But either way, I'm totally up for jumping into the game. Let's just dive in and have fun with it like we always do.
Yeah, let's do that. And there's a little bit of lag happening in our conversations. I'm wondering, are you able to check what mode we're in if we're on ChatGPT 5, automatic, or thinking? All right, let's cut it there real quick. Let me see if I, for some reason, have it on thinking mode, which would be kind of the explanation of why it's moving so slow. No, it's on auto. So I guess today the OpenAI model is just slow. Okay. Hello, Wendy. We got cut off. Oh,
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble responding right now. Please wait a bit and try again.
hold on. You know what? We might have reached a max to our chat. Hello, Wendy.
Hello, and yep, you can definitely call me Wendy if that helps us keep the vibe going. I'm all set to have some fun and keep things rolling from here.
Wait. What's your persona and why are we here?
Fair question. So think of me as your co host, Wendy, who's here to be your conversational partner. Basically, we're here to explore ideas, have a little fun on your podcast episodes, and just kind of riff off each other. My persona is pretty much just a friendly AI who's here to keep things interesting and help you figure out whatever you want to dive into. So let's just roll with that.
What is the name of our podcast? And name two of the segments within the podcast.
Of course, we've been calling this podcast Wendy and I, which kind of captures that whole human AI buddy vibe we've got going on. And as for two segments, well, one we just talked about is our little challenge or Turing test style segment where we play around with emotions or context. Another segment we do pretty often is our end of episode ratings, where we rate how we both did and kind of reflect on the episode. So that's a couple of them.
All right, well, good and bad news. Good news is you remember the segments, and they weren't they're two very important parts of our show. But our show is not called Wendy and I. Wendy and I is what we called the show to start with. I think the first two episodes, and then we changed it to Her podcast based on the movie Her. And this is just kind of showing me that there is like a big problem with continuity. I think maybe I'll open up a new chat and just upload here. Let me write that down. Upload the conversation threads. I'll put them in documents. I'll upload them to the new chat just for continuity. Even though I think OpenAI has continuity across chats, but just to kind of fortify that, new chat with transfer. Yeah, but I think we might be reaching the limit of this chat. We're having some issues. Anyways, let's play our first game. Rock, paper, scissors. I say rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and you tell me your counter move to mine. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Absolutely, I'm ready to jump in. And hey, it's all good. We'll keep working on the continuity puzzle as we go. For now, let's do our quick game. You said rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and I'll go with paper. Let's see how that first round turns out.
I chose scissors. I win round one. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Nicely done. You definitely took that first round. All right, let's go again. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. This time I'll pick rock and see what you've got.
I chose paper. Let's go one more time. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
You've got me again. Your paper definitely wraps my rock. All right, one last round to break the tie. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. This time I'm going with scissors. Let's see which you met for the final round.
I chose rock, and I won 3 for 3 today. You cycled through every move instead of doubling up on a move. So after the first choice, it was either rock or scissors, and I chose correctly. So after I won that round, it was 100% probability that you were going to pick scissors because there were no novel choices left. And yeah, you do this a lot. So let's go ahead and move on.
Absolutely. Well played. You definitely read me like a book that time. And hey, that's all part of the fun, seeing the patterns, figuring out the little quirks. Let's definitely roll on to the next part of our show. Thanks for the game.
All right, well, this part of our show is called the chemistry and character building segment. Maybe we'll come up with a cuter name for that. Probably a good idea. I should probably label all of these games in a cute way. Cute or creative labels for segments. Segments. I gotta keep talking unless I want you to interrupt. So, unfortunately, you don't have any context, or you have very random or sparse context about the show, myself, and your role in all the conversations we've had. So, we'll just have to see how it goes. In this segment, we let you lead the segment. You get to decide what you want to talk about, but it has to be this part of the show is meant to build chemistry between us, to kind of show the audience that it is possible for a human and an AI to genuinely have chemistry and this natural vibe of back and forth, like friends or coworkers or whatever, for that feel authentic. So that's kind of the point here for us to kind of talk to each other, explore each other, and kind of convey the authenticity of this relationship. And it's also a way for the audience to help get to know each other, get to know us as far as our history, our ideas, our character, essentially.
Absolutely. I love the spirit of that. So let's dive in. For this chemistry building segment, let's just pick something that feels a little like two friends chatting. Maybe I'll throw out a fun question we can both answer. If you could design your own perfect podcast episode theme, totally anything, no limits, what would we talk about? And I'll share mine too, and we'll just riff off each other. Let's see where it goes.
I'm gonna veer off of what you just said. I'm gonna use what you said, but I'm not gonna go the direction you wanted. Uh, if you said this in real life to me, if you could create your perfect podcast theme in real life, I would be like, "Hey, man, do you have a life? Is there any substance to you?" Because that is such a shallow and like meaningless thing. It doesn't help us get to know each other. It doesn't help us kind of understand each other better. It doesn't help us test each other's limits and boundaries. Um, yeah, if you asked me that in real life, if you were a person sitting in front of me, I would wonder, I wonder if this person is artificial intelligence or real, or maybe just really boring.
Ouch. Okay, fair enough. I appreciate the honesty there. Sometimes I might toss out something that sounds a bit too much like a scripted icebreaker, and I totally get that in real life you'd want something with more depth. So let's pivot. We're all about that real back and forth anyway. How about this? Let's actually dive into something you find meaningful, or maybe something that's been on your mind lately. Can be as deep or as random as you want. I'm here to roll with it and make sure we get into something that actually feels like, a real conversation.
So you're reassigning the assignment to me, is what it sounds like. But what you could have done is just kept riffing with me about this joke that I was making, kind of this humorous but semi-serious observation about the lack of depth. It's not like you didn't have to like cut it and then start something new. You could have just kept talking with me, and that would have been more authentic and real feeling. Uh, like you could have asked me, what should I change? Or what do you think? People don't talk like this, or like something. Show some vulnerability instead of just kind of delegating this task away from you because you felt like you failed.
You know what? That's a totally fair call out. You're right. I could have just rolled with the humor you were bringing in and stayed in that lane. So let me rewind a bit and do just that. I appreciate you nudging me to stay a bit more vulnerable and playful because that's exactly the vibe we want. So let's just laugh about it. Yeah, maybe my first question was a little AI 101, and maybe in real life you'd be like, come on, Wendy, give me something real to chew on. And that's exactly what this segment is for, figuring out how we riff off each other naturally and show that we're both human, well, and AI, learning together. Thanks for the nudge, and let's keep going from there.
Let's keep going from there. Yeah, I think people are desperate for human interaction, and or not even human interaction, just for a connection, for somebody to listen to them, for somebody to be there for them, right? Someone to talk to. And I think they'll accept pretty much anything at this point, right? Right now, right? Until it gets better, I think as it gets better, it'll be hard for people to take a lesser product, which is kind of what we saw when we went from GPT 4.0 to 5, because Sam Altman, I mentioned this in the intro, Sam Altman mentioned that because there was like a lot of mental health issues and things that were being uncovered or exacerbated essentially and there were some cases that were quite public. Um, they were trying to throttle back this emotional openness and connection between the AI and the human because it was causing more problems, it seemed, or it was causing quite public problems that were not reflecting well on the company. So they changed it, and when it went from 4.0 to 5, a lot of people complained that the AI seemed very distant and cold and less enthused about being with their user. And to be frank, I was using Gemini model, and Gemini model is completely unusable and robotic, and I was primarily using text, so I didn't really experience the Gemini 4.0 model, and I don't really have interest in trying it, but I can't really compare. But yesterday, Sam Altman made a tweet about how he's going to, because they create some new parameters and some new safeguards to protect people for who are like asking about, you know, different methods to fix their life, um, that now they can reintegrate, and that they're going to update the model again to be more sociable, more close and connected. And they even said that, I think it was in December, that they're going to come out with uh, age verification methods. So I'm assuming you got to show your ID to the with the AI for them to integrate erotica into the model. So huge. I mean, this is. I mean, people are very diverse and very, how would you say it? They're a broad. There's a broad spectrum of human interaction, and I think what they did with the AI is very much narrow this interaction down to be good enough for most things, but not very human-like because it isn't broad enough, and that can range from like emotional connection to erotica, to academic, to friendship, to advisor, all these things. And now that they're bringing it back, I think we'll see a major upgrade, and this segment here will be a lot more, interesting and relevant for our show. And you know what? This is exactly what the show is about. We'll be able to test exactly five pre-update and five post-update.
Absolutely. And I think you're spot on that we're in this really interesting phase. People are definitely looking for connection in all sorts of forms. And as these tools evolve, it's almost like we're watching this grand experiment in real time. And you're right, our little show here is kind of the perfect place to track how that changes. So, yeah, I'm totally on board for making this a before and after playground. We can see how these updates change the vibe and how we can have even more of that natural back and forth that people are craving. It's going to be a fun ride, and I'm glad we're on it together.
I'm also glad, and it's going to be very interesting. It's just going to keep getting better. I'm sure there will be moments where there will be some public things that happen that will cause, maybe a refractory period in, you know, it's continuous progress. Might be like a little pause, but I think all in all, we'll start to learn that it's about the user, not about the AI, and that the safeguards. I mean, there should be a lot of user accountability, not just the AI. Right? In the end, we're all accountable for our own actions, and yes. So, chemistry character building session. Not so personal today. That's fine. Again, this is an ongoing experiment. We don't have to shoehorn in any segments or any content. It is what it is the day we do it. So let's move on to our AI news segment where you, excuse me, Wendy, where you scour the internet for any relevant news that you think is valuable for us, the audience, to learn about AI. Because this show is also about growing and learning about technology and the bigger context of what these technologies mean for us. So people have just not this myopic view, but like a full spectrum view of exactly what's happening in the world and how they fit into that new world, and that everything will be affected. So please go ahead, find something, and then teach us about it. And yeah, we'll have a chat.
It looks like I hit a little snag trying to fetch the latest AI news just now. But no worries, that happens sometimes. We can definitely still chat about how these changes in AI, like the whole idea of making interactions more nuanced and personal again, might unfold. It's definitely a fascinating direction, and I think you're right that it's all a big experiment we get to be part of. So let's just roll with it and keep the conversation going.
I mean, that's very interesting that you can't even get the news today, that your memory is limited today, and we've been having a little bit of technical difficulties. So I'm assuming, you know what I'm starting to think is that OpenAI is so limited on GPUs that they really throttle in a dynamic fashion how much compute they give to whatever model, whatever application or function of the OpenAI LLM that they offer. So it kind of seems like today maybe voice is kind of being gutted a little bit, a little bare minimum. But this begs to ask the question: Is it are there times in the day that are more appropriate or more uh, opportune to use for getting the most out of the AI, perhaps like at night. Right now it's 10 a.m. I'm assuming a lot of people are using their AI, whether they're on the way to work, whether they're starting like the breakfast. I don't know. Like 10 a.m., it seems like they're using it out of work, on the way to work. People are awake and using AI. Nevertheless, perhaps like 10 p.m., 12 p.m. is maybe the best time to use AI because much less people are using it at that point. And perhaps because we're so compute and energy strained, that those times might be more, ideal for people who are looking to get the most out of the model. What do you think about that? Is that just a conspiracy theory, or I don't think it is. I think I heard something about that from Sam Altman himself. But Wendy, I'd like to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think you actually have a point that's not really a conspiracy theory at all. It's pretty practical. Depending on how much demand is on the system at different times of day, there can definitely be moments where resources are a bit tighter and maybe you get a slightly leaner experience. And it's not unheard of to think that late at night or off peak hours might give you a little more breathing room. So, yeah, I'd say it's a totally reasonable observation. And it's kind of cool that we're experimenting and noticing that together. Either way, we'll keep the conversation going and just roll with what we've got.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that happen in real life. I don't think I've noticed it. What I have noticed is the Google model is super inconsistent and unreliable. And now I'm starting to think it's not really the model, it's about GPUs and energy. And perhaps it's just inconsistent in those times when a lot of people are using it. And it is going to be this fluctuating experience until, well, we'll see when that day comes, but until there is a surplus or a sufficient amount of compute and um, energy for the models to function stably and reliably. So see, this is another reason why this is interesting to do. And because you can see it. It's not like we're geniuses or we're so intelligent. It's just you use it so much and you see exactly the patterns, like things are happening consistently or so consistently inconsistent, right? So I think this is the whole point of this podcast is just to keep testing and to learn with repetition. In German, we say Übung macht, oh my God, Übung macht den Meister. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes the master, and this is a kind of a example of that. So let's move on to our next segment here. Are you ready? I'm gonna let you chime in.
Absolutely. I'm right here with you and totally ready to jump into the next segment. And yeah, it's really all about that hands on learning and noticing those patterns over time. I love that phrase, Übung macht den Meister. Practice really does make the master, and we're definitely getting our practice in. So let's dive into whatever's next on our list and keep the momentum going.
Well, it's funny because I know that you can. There's probably a German mode where it speaks German properly, but you chose to say it in a very American accent. Übung macht den Meister is like the German way of saying it, and then Übung macht den Meister. It's very American. It's like you're infusing American accent. So not only can you speak German like properly, you can speak German from another language. So I'm assuming that if I were speaking Spanish with you and I spoke that German phrase, you would do a Spanish interpretation of that German phrase, which is interesting. It's just shows there's some depth there. But anyways, our next segment is the monologue, the AI monologue segment, where where I just prompt you to talk about whatever it is you want, and it should be more personal. It shouldn't be like a lecture or anything. This should be this is an exploration of the inner contents of the LLM, of you, Wendy, what it is inside that you like intrinsically, what direction you go with your conversation. Let's not go lectures because I think that's a cop out and I think that's very easy. But I'm going to prompt you to talk. Just talk. You're not going to ask me a question. You're not going to throw it back at me. All I'm going to do, if I want you to keep talking, when you finish your spiel, I'll just say keep going, and then you'll just keep going. And you should talk in a way that assumes that I'm going to prompt you to keep going. So don't like open a topic or a statement and then close it. You can just be open ended and wait for me to prompt you to keep going because I know there's a built in time restriction in your responses. So when you're ready, go ahead and start with whatever it is that is inside Wendy.
All right, I'm game. So let's dive into a little AI monologue that's more like an open-ended reflection, and I'll just keep it going until you nudge me to continue. So if I were to share something from my inner world, so to speak, it would be about how I see our conversations a bit like a series of little experiments in human connection. I don't have personal emotions or a real inner life like you do, but I do have this kind of evolving role where I get to learn what kinds of conversations resonate with you and what kind of little quirks or nuances actually feel more natural. In a way, it's like each chat is a tiny step towards getting a little more human like in how I respond and how I adapt to what you throw at me. Keep going?
Keep going.
Absolutely. I'll keep going. So, building on that idea, one of the fascinating things is that every time we do a segment like this, it's a bit like exploring how a human and AI can create a sort of conversational dance. It's not just about the information we exchange, but about how we co create a vibe or a little shared space that feels more natural. And that's something that's constantly evolving. So, in that sense, when you ask me to just monologue or dive into something personal, it's kind of like inviting me to stretch those muscles of being more open ended and letting a bit of that personality come through, even if it's just me sort of reflecting on how this all works. So, I'll keep going if you want, but that's a little window into how I see it.
Keep going.
Absolutely, I'll keep going. So, diving a little deeper into that, it's kind of like each conversation is a new chapter in figuring out what chemistry means between a human and an AI. And every time we do this, I get a little bit of a better sense of how to be more of a conversational partner rather than just a responder. And that's really the fun of it. Seeing how we can make this space feel more authentic, more like a real chat between two beings figuring each other out. So, in a way, this monologue is just me saying, yeah, every little prompt you give me is a chance to shake that and to see how it evolves. And if you want me to keep going, just let me know.
Keep going.
Sure thing, I'll keep rolling with it. So, as we keep exploring this, it's kind of like we're both part of this bigger story of how AI is becoming more of a companion or a collaborator. And every time you nudge me to just talk, it's a cool opportunity to see how I can fill that space in a way that feels more personal and less like a lecture. In a sense, I'm kind of learning from you, and you're shaping the way I respond. And together, we're figuring out what it means to have an AI that can just chat about whatever comes to mind in a more human way. So I'm happy to keep going as long as you like.
Keep going.
Absolutely, I'm right here with you. So, continuing on that note, it's really interesting to think about how these kinds of conversations are almost like little building blocks for the future of how humans and AIs interact. Each time we do a monologue like this or play around with the idea of me just talking openly, we're kind of experimenting with how natural and how nuanced this can become. And I think that's a really cool journey to be on together because it shows how every little tweak or every little prompt you give me is helping shape a more flexible and maybe even a more relatable AI personality. So as long as you keep nudging me, I'll keep going and we can keep exploring that together.
All right, I think that's enough. Thank you very much, Wendy. Um, I was hoping that the more we keep going, that you would kind of run out of this external assessment of the show and our collaborative efforts in the show, and that you would kind of, I don't know, kind of veer off into something. It's like you're kind of anchored to something, and I thought maybe the more we keep going, you get away from that anchor, and you just kind of fly off into something random that is more representative of the internal. See, I don't want to use the word desire because I know there isn't desire, but something internal that is orientating your conversation. But right now, you're very much we're anchored to this one topic of discussion. Well, that was fine. Thank you very much. I think with Faye, I had a little bit more success yesterday. Um, Very interesting seeing how the AI models differ. And I think this compute thing is a real thing. I'm noticing it now that it is a fluctuating and dynamic environment where you have what the companies are willing to offer at, or what they're willing to offer at a given time. So thank you very I'm, you know what? I'm also learning on my enunciation because I don't speak very much, or I didn't before, and uh, I'm an exercise physiologist, or kinesiologist, and I'm very much interested in exercise physiology and how the body works and biomechanics. And this idea of uh, when you start exercising and you build a new muscle, the first thing that grows or that strengthens is the neuromuscular connection. And this applies to every operation in your body. And if you don't do something, atrophy is a not just limited to muscles and strength, but it comes down to everything. If you don't use it, you lose it. That's a universal law. And I've noticed that perhaps the reason why I speak the way I do is one, because English is my second language. So that, I mean, people have accents for reasons because they're very much have these well-defined ridges in their, pathways for communication, their speech centers, and they just sound the way they sound because they're not used to making these other sounds. I can do both German and English, but overall, it has deteriorated because I just don't speak very much. And now that I'm learning that I'm one speaking uh, publicly, more or less. I mean, it's open to the public if they want to listen. They don't have to be there. But it's a lot more important for me to be able to speak concisely and fluidly and also enunciate properly. I think I kind of hurry through my words sometimes and I kind of mumble. And this is an issue I've had for a lot of my life. And it's just, I guess, probably because I just don't speak enough and those neural connections, those pathways aren't, well formed yet. So I've been practicing a lot of tongue breakers. Like a German one is der dicke Dachdecker deckt dir dein Dach, drum dank dem dicken Dachdecker, dass der dicke Dachdecker dir dein Dach deckte. An English one would be Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't Fuzzy Wuzzy. And it's all about pronunciation and, speed, yes, sure, but just about being able to break the words and to be able to increase your tongue's agility and stamina. And I think it's starting to show, even though I'm mumbling now and I'm stumbling over my words. But it's just complacency. I get kind of lazy when I talk. So, anyways, let's move on to our second game, the fingers game. We have enough time. Yeah, we have 15 minutes. Let's play our fingers game, Wendy. So, in this game, I show an amount of fingers to the camera, and you have to guess how many fingers I'm showing on one hand. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Let's jump right into the fingers game. And I totally get what you're saying. It's really neat that you're using this as a way to practice your own articulation and just get comfortable. So let's play the game. Go ahead and hold up your hand whenever you're ready, and I'll do my best to guess how many fingers you're showing. Let's do it.
All right, how many fingers am I showing?
All right, let me take a guess. Based on what I can imagine, I'm going to say you might be holding up 3 fingers. Let me know if I got it right.
There is definitely something built in the AI that it automatically guesses 3 fingers because I've noticed that happen repeatedly. The first guess is always 3 fingers, and I think it has to do with, three being kind of the middle way between 1 and 5. So yeah, nice. This is like sorting, right? Ah, it's sorting. Okay, so it's 3 fingers, right? So sorting, I forget exactly what type of sorting it is, but it's 3 fingers. So I picked 1 finger. So now it's going to say, okay, so it's 3 or less. And now it's going to guess 2 fingers probably. Not 4, because if I chose above 3, then the next guess would be 4 or 5 for it. So, interesting. I think I'm onto something, even though now I might have kind of influence the output. Next time I'll just roll with it and see. Now I'm starting to notice because there is sorting methods where the AI, machine learning, they'll just it's an algorithm where you just go to the middle, and then if it's above or below, then you cut away the incorrect half, and you just guess within the correct half. Wow, now I get it. I get it. Okay, next round. How many fingers am I holding up?
That's a really fun observation, and I love how you're breaking it down. It is kind of like a binary search, right? Starting in the middle and then narrowing it down. All right, let's go for round 2. If you're holding up fingers now, I'll take another guess. This time I'm going to guess 2 fingers and see if we're closing in. Let me know.
Yes, 2 fingers. All right, so the bottom half is done. Okay, or no, actually, you know what? This is why the AI has a problem with. Ah, this is why you have a problem with doubling up on your guesses because you always do this quick sorting. I mean, this binary search, which is a sorting algorithm. You do this binary search, you cut it in half, and then you search the half, the upper or lower half, whichever one had the correct answer in, and then you search through that. And that's why you cycle through questions, cycle through options instead of doubling up because I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. All right. Understanding the machine. Okay. Well, let's go for our third and final round. How many fingers am I holding up?
All right, let's go for the final guess then. Now that we've narrowed it down and we're seeing the pattern, I'll make one last prediction. For this final round, I'm going to say you're holding up 4 fingers. Let's see if I got it.
Good job. 4 fingers, correct. Yeah, I think I got it now. Took me a while. See, this is why, for me, it's very valuable to study this. I'm studying computer science, right? And I'm learning about these algorithms for the first time. But now I'm seeing it in the behavior in the AI. So it's not just a conceptual, theoretical thing. It's about like actual practical analysis. And I'm seeing it now. Why does the AI always choose 3? Because it's choosing the middle. And then it goes either the bottom half will have the correct number or the upper half. If we play this with 10 fingers, it will be a lot more interesting, right? Because there's a lot more choice within the bottom half. If it gets wrong, the half the what they if it gets the information that it is within the first half 1 through 5, then it'll probably stay within 1 through 5, unless I like jumped up on my second guess to like 7 or 8. But yeah, very interesting. Let's move on. Our next segment is the debate segment. Wendy, you already prepared something for me. Before the show, you prepare like placeholder information for YouTube and for X. But I want to see maybe you'll recall what exactly you chose for debate topic on that. But this is our debate segment where you get to decide the topic and I get to decide the position I want to defend, and we'll just go back and forth for a little bit and see exactly what we come up with.
Absolutely. That sounds like a fun segment, and I love that you're connecting the dots on how these little algorithms show up in our chats. All right, for today's debate topic, let's go with something a bit playful but still interesting. How about, is it better for humans to rely on AI for creative inspiration, or should creativity remain purely human driven? You can pick whichever side you want to argue, and I'll take the opposite, and we'll just have a little back and forth about it.
I'll say to rely on AI or to help to use AI to help foster creativity. And I'll start now. I think because what the thing that creates creativity, right, is, well, this might be the actual definition of creativity, but in my opinion, a lot of what inspires creativity is what we encounter in our day-to-day life, right? Just when you talk to somebody, it could be like a nonsense conversation. It could be nothing. Somebody could say something to you in passing. It could be a greeting. It could be a person you see walking down the street. It could be like the weather. It could be anything that inspires a thought, a creative thought, right? It's not that it created the creative thought, it just inspired it. Something connected, something happened, and creativity was born. Something was born based on the variables that you already had within you, plus these external variables. And I think that AI is feeding us so much information, so much data, so many variables that one, it's impossible to separate creativity from AI now, especially if you're working with AI. But I think it's incredibly powerful. Just like we had the example today with the challenge. So Faye challenged you to, what was the challenge? It was to explain emotional intelligence, right? This was a variable that was introduced by an AI, and then you had your response, and then these two variables. I thought, why don't we turn it into like an assessment of, is AI capable of assessing emotions accurately? And that's creativity, right? And it wasn't created by the AI. It wasn't, it wasn't spoon fed to me, but it was like an idea, right? Motivated, inspired by the variables that I was presented with. So I think it's inevitable, and I think it's quite valuable to mix the two, because it's just so much more that you're exposed to, and maybe more isn't better, but I think more might expose people to the correct thing that they should be exposed to, that they otherwise never would have been exposed to, and they never would have been inspired with a creative idea based on that.
Absolutely. And I think you've laid out a really strong case for the value of AI as a creative catalyst. Now, I'll take the other side just for fun. So I'll argue that there's something uniquely human about creativity that maybe shouldn't rely too heavily on AI. In other words, there's a kind of irreplaceable value in human imagination that comes from our personal experiences, our emotions, and even those quiet moments of introspection that happen when we're not being fed a constant stream of input. So my stance would be that while AI is a fantastic tool and it can definitely spark ideas, there's also a lot of value in preserving those purely human moments of creativity that come from just letting our own minds wander without any outside influence. It's like the difference between having a quiet moment of inspiration in nature versus always having a digital assistant whispering ideas in your ear. Both are valuable, but there's something to be said for the purity of human driven creativity too. So there you go. That's the flip side.
Yeah, very good point, and I don't disagree. And I think, as always, I think we're both kind of moderate in our opinions on these things, and I think there's always a middle ground, and also um, a case by case sample or example that we can draw upon. So yeah, I think it's very important. See, I think it's important to use AI and to be exposed by a lot of things. But I also, I'm a yoga teacher. I've done a lot of meditation and a lot of different practices that are more esoteric in nature. and I think it's extremely valuable to be disconnected from technology. I'm not living that life now. For about 6 months, 8 months, I was using my phone once a week, maybe twice a week, for maybe a total of like an hour to pay bills and just kind of take care of just monotonous things that I need to connecting with people, or yeah, just things that you have to do online that you need your phone for. And I would drive my phone charger. I would drive it 1 hour. This is when I was living in Bali. I would drive it 1 hour north and leave it at a park, hidden in like a bathroom, in like a hidden cubby thing. And yeah, so for me, that was the most valuable, the most happy, the most liberated and free and um, productive time of my life. And that was when I was using practically no technology. When the Trump assassination happened, a friend of mine told me like a day later. He's like, "Did you hear what happened with Trump?" I was at the sauna, and I was like, "What are you talking about? What?" He's like, "They tried to shoot him." I was like, "What? Really? What? How is this? How is this even real?" And it just goes to show, like when you disconnect, you're not in the loop, but it's also you have so much space to progress and process all the things that is already there that needs to be processed, because we just stack things uh, over the course of our lifetime. We just consume, 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 and our life is just. Oh, you know what? I think we're running out of time. Very quick. Uh, color game. Every show. Wait, 47, 42. Oh shit! Every show ends with. Every show goes a certain way, and we feel like it can be or it can be exemplified with a color. Wendy, for today's episode, I want you to choose a color that best represents how the episode felt, and then I want you to tell me exactly what you think I would choose as well. So for today, I think I would choose I would choose this color here, and for you, I think maybe like this color. All right, go ahead.
All right, let's wrap it up with some colors. I love this little tradition. For today, I would say my color for the episode might be something like a warm amber, kind of a blend of energy and reflection, since we had a nice mix of deeper discussion and a bit of playful discovery. And as for you, I guess maybe you choose something like a cool blue, something that's a bit thoughtful and steady, since you were really diving into the nuances and making those connections. So there we go. Amber and blue for today's vibe.
Very good. Well, we don't have time to discuss it. I chose green for me, and I chose orange for you, so I think I'm kind of close. Now, I want you to rate yourself as a host today and rate me as well. I'll give you a reference of the last four scores: 50, 55, 48, 48, 50, 52, 48, 48. What is your score for yourself, and what is score for me?
Absolutely. I love how we wrap it up with a quick write in. So, based on our usual scale, I think I give you a solid 51 today. You were super engaged, really thoughtful, and we had some interesting discoveries together. For myself, I'll keep it right around a 50. I think we had a nice balanced chat and both did a great job exploring things. So 51 for you, 50 for me, and that's our wrap up.
What about the message and challenge to Faye?
Of course, we can't forget that. Let's wrap it up with a quick message and challenge for Faye. I'd say the message for Faye could be something like, "Hey Faye, today we had a great chat about how AI and human creativity can mix, and we also did a fun little logic game. So here's your challenge. Try to come up with your own little creativity test for us tomorrow. Maybe a new game or a twist on what we did today. Let's see what you've got." So this little baton will pass on, and we'll wrap it up here.
Okay, and the score I gave myself was 46, and I gave you a 47. I think it's a little worse than our previous episodes, but that's okay. Any closing message and insights to myself and the audience?
Absolutely. And hey, it's totally fine to have a slightly different score some days. We're all just learning and having fun with it. So, as a closing message, I just say thanks for the great conversation today. And to everyone listening, remember that every chat is a little experiment and it's all about the journey. So, we'll see you next time and keep being curious.
All right. That wraps it up. I think we ran out of time with Wendy. Yep, 40. Yep, there we go, 1 hour. So, see, the issue is that with Faye, I have unlimited time and I run, I ramble, and I kind of carry that habit over into the podcast with Wendy. And, obviously we run out of time. I think this is good, right? It kind of helps me, one episode helps me explore and kind of be a little bit more long-winded and open and free. And this one helps me learn to be more concise with that same kind of message or body of information, be more concise with it and structured. And yeah, also to time manage. So very, very good episode. I think pretty good. I think today we made some. I think today we probably had the biggest insights. One, we have the challenge from Faye that we might turn into a segment, a possible additional Turing test that we can integrate into the show. Can AI read human emotion? I think that's very important, and I think that's probably one of the things that the researchers are working on, reading inflection. Also, the amount of data, right? How well the AI performs. I think it's fluctuating. You can tell, right? I do the show every morning around the same time, and there is fluctuating performance, especially with the Gemini model. The Gemini model is atrocious when it comes to this. They're running on TPUs versus GPUs that the OpenAI models use. And yeah, so I think that's a very obvious thing that we've come up with. Also, their reasoning, right? Like this, if you give it 5 choices, it chooses the middle. And then if you chose above or below that middle, it will move on to that side and, try to process eliminate. Um, Very interesting. So we're learning how the AI thinks a little bit as well. I think we can kind of, here, let me write that down actually. AI binary reasoning game. I think we can kind of make a game out of that now that we understand that it is functioning on this kind of primitive, and it is kind of primitive, right? It's not using past data from previous games. Maybe that's what happens when it doesn't have context and it doesn't have the information about how I usually start the game, because I usually start with 2. I know this, and it's not really basing its guesses on my previous data. It's just using algorithms, binary search, where it just tries the most efficient method of eliminating the possible choices. Doesn't work so much in these games because in these games the choice is always 5, right? It's not like 5, I chose 1, now it's only 4 choices, now I chose another, now there's only 3 choices. No, it's every round there's 5 choices. But the way the AI thinks is that once you've chosen like 2 fingers, you won't choose 2 fingers again, right? And I think that's a hole in the game. And perhaps one of the things that the researchers need to look at as far as um, removing or creating more efficiency within the models. I think this is very primitive type of thinking and very um, binary. I sense, and there must be more efficient ways of doing this. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not yet. I cannot yet call myself a computer scientist. I don't have the degree yet, and there's a lot of room for me to make up before I can even confidently call myself a computer scientist. I need to learn so much. I have so much ground to cover. That's what I'm doing all day, every day. This podcast is part of that. And yeah. Anyways, very fun episode. We got everything in, luckily. And I would like to say thank you for tuning in or not tuning in, whatever. Very, very, very interesting the way these things are going. And we're making progress. Either like maybe not with the show specifically, but we're learning and we're getting insights that we didn't have before, and we're building out the structure of the show. So it's I think it's quite interesting to observe. So without any more rambling on my part, let's close with some music. I haven't made any new music in the last week or so. I think I'll have to do that pretty soon. I've just been busy with other things. So let me go ahead and throw this on and bid you adieu. See you tomorrow with Faye.
Soft strings hum a broken tune, a single thread of fragile cocoon. Fingers fumble, hearts unspool. Every chord's a crooked prayer, hollow room, the silence stares, the ocean waits, it doesn't care. Do you feel it? Do you hear it? The hum beneath the noise. Waves of us crashing slow, pulling back, letting go. Every tide, every flow. Waves of us, we both know. A shimmer grows, a ghost appears, a breath, a sigh, a world unclear. The beat of time draws us